Earlier this year, Lee, TimeRider of TimeRider's Wee Little Cars, approached me about possibly being a mystery builder. And naturally, I jumped at the chance. I was honored that he would approach me with this. And so on February 27th, I received this casting. And it's a Hot Wheels 1970 Chevelle. And here we are, the middle of July, about 4.5 months later. And I have to thank Lee for his patience and kindness for letting me drag this out to this point in time. For some reason, this just overwhelmed me. I'm not sure why. Like I said, I was really honored that he approached me with this, and I didn't want to screw it up, and I just had a mental block as to what I was going to do with it. I couldn't figure out, I like to chop things up, and I kind of liked the looks of this one. It was that flat gray look to it, and there's what I decided to take the wheels off of. And so you see me rip these wheels off of here. Those are the real riders that I ended up putting on this. But what's funny is I stripped the casting months ago, and I end up not that far from from where the casting started out. I decided what I wanted to do was drop it down low. And so, yes, you are actually seeing me use a Dremel tool. I needed to change bits a couple times here because I really haven't done this much, if ever, before, where I've needed to take some metal off the inside of the wheel well so I could get them to scooch up in there higher. So I was dropping this down. I obviously had to make some major modifications to the base and to the body itself to get the wheels to fit. I took the chrome plastic base and threw it in super clean, so that'll disappear here in a second. And it was a new casting, so the glass was good. I mean, everything was in good shape on here. But what's funny about it is I stripped it and then set it aside for a while. And there were other builds, and it was tax season, and it's a busy time of year for me. And this year, oddly, tax season was extended to July 15th. Today, the day I'm actually working on this video. It's going to be released in a few days when you see it, but that's when I'm working on it. So, through that delay, I kind of forgot where it was when I started. And I almost took it back to the same exact colors. And it's kind of funny. I was surprised. I had forgotten until I watched the video that I had shot months ago prior to stripping it. That was the Gauzy scene. Thought I wasn't going to mention Gauzy. What I ended up doing, because like I said, I dropped the butt of this car down a lot, and the front a little bit, and it ends up with almost like a kind of lowrider stance to it. But rather than doing axle tubes, what I did was I took styrene and bolstered the sides, where on the Hot Wheels base they had jacked it up. And at this point I had stripped it with super clean. So that the black is the bare plastic. And I do end up spray painting it black afterwards. But all I did was raise those areas up to lower the car. And I'll give you here's a better look at that. So you can see what I did. And now the axles are just going to sit above that. And I do a little more styrene work. Using the sanding there, I trim those little nubs that they have on the base because I needed as much room as I could get. So I worked on that part of it. And I also used the emery boards here to take down a lot of that base where they had jacked it up. I just ended up having to sand all of that off. So the base lost a lot of detail, which I wasn't concerned about. I just wanted this thing to sit low and look mean. I thought about, murdering it out, I think is what they say when you go black on black, everything black. What I ended up doing was I had basically that Krylon Fusion paint, metallic dark metal. That's really a color. I don't know how you have something other than metallic dark metal, but that's what they call it. I love the color of that paint. So I thought I'd shoot that on here, and I'd go with all black trim. So I blacked that all out. I did use the Tamiya clear red and clear orange for the marker lights. On the black base, I also used, the Tamiya clear red for the brake lights, and it's on black, so you can't really see it. If you were here in person, you could tell it was there, but it does not stand out because it is blacked out. So there you see it. I've sprayed it at this point, and so you kind of see the color isn't that different than where I started out. But hey, I like the original casting too, but there was no way in hell I was going to leave it the way it was. So, I thought, well, I got to do something with it. I just didn't realize I was taking it back basically to where it was. Use the paint stick to do the headlights. I still laugh at how I ended up at almost the same spot. I do have to say that here you get to see the clear coat. That Minwax polyurethane, it's a winner. That spray is a keeper. The minute I saw how well this went, I ordered a few more cans because so far it's the best clear coat I've used. It's very reliable. It hasn't really blown any paint jobs up on me. Goes on fantastically. I do bake it, which seems to help. It's interesting that the paint, after I bake it for a while, seems like it smooths it out. So anyhow, that's just a suggestion if you're using it. Here you see me taking down that base, and an added benefit of the way I did the styrene on the sides there, it strengthened that base. I did have to cut chunks out of the back end here, again, to give me more room for those wheels to snug up under the fenders, back up in the wheel wells. One thing, and I'll mention it here rather than later, but you'll see me later actually when I get to the assembly process. I had test fitted this thing God knows how many times as I was going along. And then when I got to the assembly process, it still wasn't, after I put it together, and you'll see me put it together, when I went to roll it, it still wasn't rolling as well as I had hoped. And so I ended up taking a little bit more off of the back than you're going to see me take off here. So it was actually cut down even further than this will show. Now, as far as how I put the wheels in, you see those are the real riders I took off of that other van. And all I did was, I had put styrene down, and then I used CA glue to hold those axles in place. And, the wheels roll freely on the axle, so it wasn't an issue. It wasn't like the axle itself needed to turn. So sorry that's not on camera. But here you get to see it. It rolls. See, it rolls really well, just the base. And actually the finished car, I'll show you that here in a minute too. It rolls fantastically. I couldn't have been happier with how this thing rolled for as much as I dropped it. So I had painted the base black, as I had mentioned. Did not do any detailing on the inside because, like I said, I was black trimming everything out on this, and I wanted it to have this, mean look to it. Like I said a moment ago, I did take more out of the back end there than you see at this point after I assemble it here. I disassembled it, took a little bit more off, and then reassembled it. But I'd like to thank Lee again for giving me this opportunity. Thank him for his patience and his kindness. Thanks for bearing with me, Lee. And you really said there was no rush, and I knew you meant it. I knew you weren't just saying it, which was nice. And you let me get to the point that I could do it. So I really do appreciate that. And I am honored that you gave me this opportunity. So there you see, where I ended up. And we'll go back, take a look at the original. So there it is originally. You can see it's the flat gray. Oddly enough, the wheels that were on it originally, the real Riders I chose to replace these with, are almost an identical wheel. I mean, I didn't realize it until I was swapping them out. It's like, dear Lord. I guess that just shows you how much I like this one to start off with. So that's where I started. That's where Lee's starting too. And here's where I finished. Yes, it is different. Yeah, it looks the same. I just stripped it and completely redid it in the meantime. Yeah, I know it's goofy, but hell, I like it. I hope you guys like this one too. You can see that Minwax clear coat. Man, I'm happy with that. You can also see it's dropped. So you get a look at the side here. You can see it's significantly dropped from where it originally started. I know some of you will like it. Some of you will probably hate it. At times I look at it and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. But as you can see, as much as I've dropped it, I knew I'd get a question, but does it roll? Yes, it rolls. Rolls fantastically. I think I do it one more time. Yeah. So there you have it. Thank you for watching this video, bearing with me. Thanks again, Lee. Really do appreciate it. And thanks to all my subscribers. Be sure and check out Lee's video too. And everybody, stay safe and healthy out there. Have patience with each other and be respectful of each other. Take care.